Hey, what's up everybody, it's your boy Ryan here. So today I'll be doing what if Deku had all for one. I forgot which party it is, so yeah, let's begin. So in third point of view, Izuku Midoriya knew things would go wrong. He advocated that the summer training camp be moved into the UA campus instead of going so far from help. However, he was outvoted in his opinion on the matter since All Might and Green Tornado had convinced several others that being isolated would help keep the students safe, since the league would not know of the location, which Izuku saw as a completely illogical. Izuku led the meeting with warning to All Might: if my son or my lover Stella comes out to a harm because of you, all stupidly made the decision to hold the summer training camp so far away from help, then I'll be holding those that voted for it to be held like that responsible. I will also publicly hold All Might and Green Tornado responsible, since they are the ones that convinced some of the others to vote to allow this stupid decision. Bro, when you don't record for a long time, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, so I'm really sorry. So Izuku stated as he got up and left the meeting in anger. Aizawa himself also agreed that the camp shouldn't be held so far away, but he was outvoted as well. Nizu did not vote since he needed to be imperial on the matter, but he thought it was a good idea to send them to the camp since they had changed the location, so the league shouldn't know of the location. Oh, how wrong they were, and Izuku was pissed. Izuku likely had made sure several crows were in the area, but he was pushing it in the distance department, since he was so far away from crows. He honestly never tested if he could teleport that far with his quirks, and it also consumed stamina, so it was risk that he might not have enough to make the jump. As the days went by and the second day of the training camp trip had arrived, Izuku did not feel good. It was as if he had an ill feeling about the trip, but he knew that UA wouldn't do anything about it, so he decided to call the UN and see if they had any other special agent in Japan currently, and there was no luck. He was the only agent they asked. Why? He explained the camp trip and how he felt it was a horrible idea and that he was feeling like something was going to happen. They understood and said to just head in the direction of the camp now and be prepared for it, and not to waste his time instead of not being there. As such, Izuku headed toward the camp by driving to save energy. However, halfway into the drive, he saw it happen. The forest was on fire, and he pulled his phone out and texted the UNA and to alert them that the camp was under attack and to alert any heroes they could get to it. He then teleported and luckily made it, but he was exhausted from the jump, so I made it to the camp, but I was half the distance I had from earlier today, so it's good thing I traveled so close, Izuku thought as he ran into the forest. He prayed that he wouldn't be too late, and God, he was wrong, as he heard the screams from portion of the forest and headed toward it. The trees made it hard to teleport due to them covering everything, so he had to travel by land and teleport to what he saw directly in front of him. And when he arrived, he saw it. He saw a birdman pulling a student close to his chest as a sludge came out of his mouth and started to teleport them. Izuku recognized the student, and it was none other than Hitoshi. Izuku's blood boiled and blasted off from where he was and used his shadow whip and grabbed Hitoshi just in the nick of time and pulled him away. The attacker was gone though, but Izuku only cared about getting his son back. He looked at Hitoshi over and saw he was mostly okay and asked what happened at the camp, and Hitoshi filled him in on the details and what happened. Then Izuku felt a hand on his shoulders, and it was Stella, which made Izuku happier. Izuku guided them to some other student that were on the side back to the camp. They did not encounter any more villains, but when they arrived back to the camp, they found out that Bakugo had been taken since he was a bit too aggressive during the sports final, according to one villain who had gotten captured, and had fallen under Hitoshi's quirk, which provided them a lot of information. The police were questioning why the student was still using his quirk, but Izuku showed his license and they shut up and the sight of the special agent, and Izuku just had Hitoshi keep interrogating the villain under his control, and they soon learned the location of the bar and Nomo factory, though they had some idea that there was a secondary Nomo factory outside of one known by the villain, which annoyed Izuku. Soon they had all the other students and staff accounted for. Izuku looked at Aizawa and Vlad King before speaking. I told you all this was a stupid idea, and if I didn't arrive when I did, my son would be in their hand as well, since he was almost captured. After this is over, I'm holding All Might Green Tornado and most likely UA itself responsible for this. I don't care if the school gets her shut down, since I can just transfer Stella and Hitoshi to another school, Izuku stated as he got on the bus. He was downright pissed with All Might and Green Tornado, since he warned that this camp was a bad idea to hold away from the campus. After the students were driven away in the buses, Izuku pulled his phone out and called Nizu. "Hello Izuku," Nizu said, and Izuku knew from that tone he was expecting this call. "We have the location of the League bars and Nomo's factory. Prepare a damn raid team because we need to end this. We know there is also another location for Nomo, but we don't know the location currently until we get hold of the doctor or his notes," Izuku stated, and Nizu said okay and waited to see if Izuku had anything to say. "I feel like you're waiting for me to yell. Don't worry that I will come when I hold All Might, Green Tornado and UA publicly responsible for this, but that can wait until after we get Bakugo back and the League of Villain," Izuku said as he hung the phone up and teleported back to his car. After his sleep, a quick 30 minutes for his power nap to work. Once he was in the car, he drove back to UA in anger, only to increase as time went by. After arrived at UA, he looked around and could already see reporters outside of UA gate. He walked towards them and then pushed through them. They asked who he was and he stated Pro Hero Hunter, and they remembered him from Stain event. They asked him for his views and Izuku said he will provide his views after they figure out where the missing student is located, since they already knew about that from the police chatter, so he didn't bother keeping it hidden. They let him pass and he made it inside the school but pulled his phone out once it vibrated. And I'm sorry guys for any background noise because there's a lot of troubles going on in the background. So yeah, so as he pulled his phone out, it's vibrated. He received a text from Stella telling him how she and Hitoshi was and thanked her for the update and said he was at UA getting ready for the meeting that would happen. After he walked into the meeting room, everyone felt as the temperature dropped several degrees. All Might tensed up at Izuku's presence, and Izuku just kept silent and sat down near his uncle in hopes that he would keep him calm if he decided to attack All Might. After about half an hour, the room was filled with the Pro Heroes, police, and other workers planning the raid. Nizu talked about the information that was gathered via Student Quirk, the location they gained. Endeavor spoke up and asked what the plan was, and Nizu stated that the raid team will be sent to the bar where they believed Bakugo to be located at, and then other heroes would go to the Nomo factory, though they all noticed Izuku wasn't set to any place, as Nizu informed them that Izuku would be acting as he saw fit due to him being a special agent. Soon they finalized the plans for what their raid will be like, and Izuku received disturbing news from Stella. Yagi was leading Todoroki and some others from class wanted to go attempt a rescue of Bakugo, since they didn't think the heroes were moving fast enough, which Izuku rolled his eyes at, since it wasn't or hasn't even been a full day and the raid wouldn't happen at night, which meant they would be aiming to get him back within 2 days time frame. Izuku authorized Hitoshi to use his quirk to keep them locked down at school until someone from UA arrived to detain them. As the room cleared only for UA staff, Izuku spoke up. Well, that is effing lovely, Izuku said it out loud, which caught their attention. What happened? Aizawa asked, concerned. Something major happened. After this is done, Yagi should be removed from the hero course since she wants to lead Todoroki and her classmates to commit a vigilantism. Izuku stated and All Might said that he couldn't be true. Oh, it is true. Sella just warned me that 1A class idiots are planning to attempt vigilantism to try and save Bakugo since they don't think the heroes are moving fast enough. I authorized Hitoshi to use his quirk to detain them. So someone from UA need to go officially detain them for attempting vigilantism, because if I go, I'm going to yell at them for being idiots and won't be kind in my words since this is a repeat of Ida. Dear God, what is wrong with your class, Uncle Aizawa? Because it seems the stupidity from Ida has spread to more of your students. Izuku stated and Aizawa just cursed under his breath while All Might and Green Tornado looked down in shame. Aizawa said he would go get them since they were his students, and Izuku nodded his head. As Stella, Hitoshi and all of their classmates from 1A and 1B were transported to the hospital, Stella had sent Izuku a text alert him of their conditions and that they were already in the hospital. Izuku had sent her a message thanking her and that he will be entering a meeting about reducing Bakugo and that he will talk to them later. Stella alerted Hitoshi of Izuku's location and he thanked her as they just sat in silence in their room. Together enjoyed each other's company. Then Hitoshi spoke up. Is it bad that I'm kind of laughing in dark parts of my mind that Bakugo was the person that got kidnapped and that saved me in time, like due to how he and the other two treated him? I just see it as a dark karma retribution finally happening to them. Hitoshi asked and Stella was silent for a few moments before speaking. It's not wrong, I wouldn't say it in front of the others since they don't know everything about their past, so they will see it as you being cruel. Even then they are not as attached to Izuku as we are and will still find it a bit effed up, but I don't kind of have a similar thought that I'm glad you didn't get taken, Stella stated and rubbed Hitoshi's back as they sat there. After turning in the TV and watching some of the news reports about what's going on, it had been several hours when they heard a knock on their door. Surprise, surprise, it was the classmates of 1A. Stella was confused about why they had come to them, and it seemed Kirishima had become really close with Bakugo, even though he didn't know about what Bakugo done. Stella found it ironic that someone so against bullying would become friends with three bullies who in her opinion haven't really changed much since they tried to pull what they did in the sports festival, but that was her view. She welcomed them in and saw Yagi and Todoroki in the room as well, which annoyed her, but she accepted it for now. What can we do for you all? Stella asked, and everyone was silent and looked toward Yagi. She gulped a bit and stepped forward. We are planning to go rescue Bakugo. It's been nearly half a day and they still haven't gotten him, and we don't know what the league is doing to him. Yuruzu said she had the tracking device to track them, and one B student put on a Nomu so we know where to look. We want to go after him. We want to see if you were willing to help us since you are powerful, Yagi stated, and Stella was effing stunned. Yagi had the balls to ask her to rescue one of Izuku's abusers, and Stella thought Yagi had gone mental. There are many reasons for my answer, but no, Stella stated flatly, and the students that had agreed to go were in shock. The one going that Stella knew of so far as Yagi, Todoroki, Kirishima, Sero, and possibly Yuruzu, it was mainly the people that were all friends with Bakugo and the other two idiots except Ashido and Kaminari, who were out cold cells, so that meant for 4 or to 5 of her classmates. Kirishima asked her why she wouldn't go and that they shouldn't leave Bakugo to the league since He didn't deserve it. Stella just shook her head and said that she wasn't going out to commit crimes because they wanted to save him. While this was going on, she had texted Izuku about their plans and had authorized Hitoshi to use his quirk to keep them contained. She showed her phone to him and he nodded his head and waited for the chance to do it. You know, if you go through with this then you can kiss your place at UA goodbye. Anyway, it's foolish to ask Hitoshi or me to save Bakugo when we would rather have nothing to do with him. Debating whether he deserves it or not our place, but going out to commit vigilantism is not something I'm going to do for someone like Bakugo. If it was for Hitoshi, then maybe you could get me to agree, but for Bakugo, I'd never risk it since I don't see him as someone I would risk my future for. Stella stated and the other were in shock, but Yagi and Todoroki looked like they got the hint of why she wouldn't go, but they still didn't like it. Kirishima then said that wasn't heroic to deny someone from being reduced to, and Stella snapped back that Bakugo wasn't being denied rescue since the pro heroes were seeing to it and they were actually risking his life by going risking their lives as well. As they kept talking, Hitoshi spoke up and said, "Hey guys," he said, and they all looked at him and he said he would go. You were all about going beyond and he said, and they finished it with allowed him to trap them in his quirk. Sit down and wait until a teacher from UA gets here. Hitoshi stated and he looked at Stella. We need to be careful of Yagi since she has broken out of it before, he stated, and she nodded her head, but she couldn't really do anything since Izuku had only authorized Hitoshi, but they were in luck as Yagi didn't snap out. Most likely One for All is not breaking her outside since that is surely how she escaped last time in the battle. They are likely in agreement to stop her from doing this. Stella thought as they waited about 30 minutes before a teacher from UA arrived in the room. It was none other than Eraserhead, who saw the student trapped in a quirk. He then looked at Stella and Hitoshi for details and they informed him that others were planning on using the device that Yuhiruzu had made and they were unclear if she was involved fully or not. Eraserhead nodded his head and told Hitoshi to break the control bot, congratulating him for holding it so long, which he nodded his head. That training had paid off, Hitoshi stated with a smirk, and Aizawa nodded his head. The students came out of the quirk control and paled when they saw Aizawa, and then they all looked at Hitoshi and Stella. You were kind of stupid asking two people that didn't care for Bakugo at all to help rescue him when there are pro heroes doing rescue already. You will all be under my watch now at UA since you have been discharged, since I can't trust you all not to break the law. Get moving since the bus is outside to take you to the campus, Aizawa stated as they all put their heads down in shame and some grumbled about being betrayed by their classmates, which Hitoshi just rolled his eyes at. Don't ask me to commit crimes when you don't have an actual need to commit and say crimes. Hitoshi snapped back and they all flinched at his statement since it was true. The heroes were working on it and they had no true need to do their own rescue. They soon were all on the bus and headed off to UA. As time passed and it was getting darker and darker, this meant that the raid by the pro heroes would be going on within the next few hours, and the only thing they could all do would be to watch as it happens and watch as history changed right in front of them, all as several secrets will be revealed. With that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this short part, and I'm sorry for not being able to upload for the previous week and almost a half too. So yeah, stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, spend the time with the most precious people you have, and please don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. It helps us out with the YouTube algorithm and yada yada yada. I don't want to keep you all here waiting, and with that, see you next video. Peace out. Bye bye. Also, don't forget to take care of yourself because you are the most important individual person we know in this channel. So stay safe and take care of yourself.